Hello, welcome to the Shepherd Staff 2018 Introduction to New Features webinar. Hi, my name is Rod Kiles and I am the Customer Onboarding Specialist for Concordia Technology Solutions. I've been with the company a little bit over 17 years now and I really appreciate the opportunity to serve churches. You can reach me personally one of two ways. Of course, you can always send me an email. So you can send it to rod.kiles@cph.org. And if you'd like, you could give me a phone call at 314-268-1315. I kindly ask that you mute your phones and or microphones and post any questions you may have into the question window. Jordan Bogart, he's going to be joining me today. You may have spoken to him in the past. He'll be the one answering those questions. If you'd like to reach him, you can reach him by email at jordan.bogart@cph.org. And of course, you can always reach him by phone on our support line at 1-800-346-6120. So we're going to start out with our class agenda. Every single one of these sessions, they have a flow or a structure to them. And we'll start out with the class agenda to kind of lay out that structure. The first thing we're going to talk about is our class overview. There are certain topics that we're going to cover. Those topics are all going to be centered around the new software, installing it and describing the new features. So we'll start out with the overview. Once we complete the overview, then we'll jump into our discussion where we'll detail all of those things that surround getting a new version installed on your machine and learning about the features. Once our discussion is done, we'll have our question and answer session. If you have questions along the way, please feel free to post those questions. Jordan, he's going to be in the question queue to answer those questions. And of course, we'll answer any questions at the end of the session as well. So the very first part of our class, almost the first 30 minutes, that's going to cover installing and updating your software. So we'll start by showing the brand new backup utility, show you how to register your database if you haven't done so far. If you haven't completed that task so far, then from there go to discussing the new auto update utility, which we're all excited about. It'll allow people to easily update to the next feature pack or the next version of the software. Then from there, the auto updater is what's going to do the installation. So we'll talk about the auto updater, then of course we'll show you installing the latest version of Shepherd Staff version 8.5. After that, we've made some enhancements to the new help system. So we'll go through and talk about the help system and all the little changes we've made to it. We're excited about those. We've got a new backup utility to go with our new backup utility. So we've improved the normal data backup, but we've also added a photo backup as well. So we'll show you how to back up your photographs and attachments. After that, we're going to show a new feature. We have a merge utility that allows you to merge two people together. In the past, we've always had a utility for merging people's attendance together and merging people's offerings together, but this allows you to actually merge two person records together. So we'll show you how to use that utility. After the merge utility, we'll show you a couple of changes that they've made to subgroups. Yes, they did upgrade subgroups in the last version, but we've made another upgrade to subgroups. So we'll be able to show you that upgrade as well. And then from there, we'll show the changes that we've made to activity, skills, and training mass update utility. And we'll also show you the AR system, accounts receivable system. So we've added the ability to copy transactions, but I'm going to go through and demonstrate how to use the activity, skills, and training. So we'll take something that'll take about 60 seconds there and stretch it out a little bit to give people a better understanding of the AR system. So from there, if there are any remaining questions, I'll definitely answer those questions. And I guess after that, we'll head to lunch. So I'm excited, as you can tell. I hope you're excited as well. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get started. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize the webinar screen, and then that'll allow us to maximize our Shepherd Staff software. So you'll be able to see everything really good. So give me just 1 second. There we go. And everybody should be able to see our Shepherd Staff login screen. So One thing I didn't mention was if at any point in time you have problems seeing the webinar or hearing what I'm saying, please post a question in the question box. Yes, Jordan will be answering those questions, but if there's something going on with the video or the audio, I need to know, and I'll simply click the little refresh button here to refresh that so that we can make sure everything's working. So please post that in the question box for me if you run into anything. Okay, so on the login screen, everybody has seen this screen in the past. This is going to be how you log into Shepherd Staff. You're going to type in your user ID and password. You'll notice below the password box that it is going to say your CTS account has not been registered. Registration provides two benefits to the user, to the customer. One is going to be the ability to download and install updates. The second is going to be give you the ability to use web tools. So the downloading and installing new updates saves time, speeds up the delivery process. It's a really big benefit. But also being able to use web tools is a big benefit as well. Lots of times the question is, well, what is web tools? Web tools is a web-based software that works with Shepherd Staff. It's a software that if you are a supported customer, it doesn't cost you anything. Basically, you just have to register your database and upload certain parts of your data to web tools. And web tools is hosted on a secure Microsoft Azure server, so the data is secure. You don't have to upload all your data. It just uploads specific information that's needed to be able to enter attendance and offerings online. So I'm going to go ahead and type in my user ID and password. And I'm going to check the box register after login, and I'm also going to check the box check for program updates. So first it's going to make sure my login information is correct, then it's going to walk me through registering the account, and then it's going to allow me to download any updates at that point in time. So as long as I have an active contract, it'll allow me to download the most recent version of Shepherd Staff, and that's going to be Shepherd Staff version 8.5. Now, at the lower left-hand side, it does say version 8.4 with Feature Pack 2D. I had a conversation with the programmer, and he said for him to guarantee that you'll get the most recent version, you do need to be on Feature Pack 2D. The updater did come out in Feature Pack 2, and it was also part of Feature Pack 2C, but he says the best results come from having Feature Pack 2D installed. So that's going to be my suggestion. Okay, at this point we'll go ahead and click OK, and it's allowed me to log in. To register my account, I'll click on Get Key, and when I click on Get Key, it brings up this window. It takes two pieces of information to be able to register my database. One piece of information is going to be my customer account number. The other is going to be my invoice number. So if you don't have either pieces of information, I guess one or the other or both, you can give us a call at the 1-800-346-6120 number, and we can provide that information for you. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to type in our generic CPH account number that's tied to our database, and then I'm going to type in our fake invoice number. So you'll retrieve that information from us. You'll go into this window and you'll type the information in. So we'll click Continue. Then at that point it'll ask if I want to sync my data. The system syncs 4 different types of data. I break it into 4 sections. One is going to be church information and username and password information. So you'll be able to actually log into your account, and it's the right account when you connect with the server. The second is going to be basic membership information. So it's going to be naming information, not phone numbers or addresses or anything like that, just name information so that we know who's attending or who's contributing those offerings. The third piece of data is going to be attendance information, your events and your attendance types. And then the fourth piece of information is going to be your contribution information, it's going to be your envelope numbers, your fund names, and your fund numbers so that you can record attendance. So it's not sending any totals or anything like that. It's really just the bare minimal information that you would need to be able to record your attendance or offerings online. And we do have a video that covers web tools out on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and you search for Concordia Technology Solutions, you'll be able to download, you'll be able to watch that YouTube video that talks about web tools. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes to sync our data. Maybe it takes about 10 or 15 seconds, maybe it takes 5, to go ahead and sync that information. Once that information is synced, I can click on the little link down here for Go to Website. And then that will take me to the Web Tools website where at that point I can type in with my normal username and password and then click Sign In, and it will either allow me to enter in attendance or enter in offerings. And I'm not going to go through that whole process today, but it is in a video out on YouTube. So I'm going to go ahead and close Web Tools, then OK my system settings. You do have to be a system administrator to go in and modify system settings. So this is probably something that an administrator would do when it comes to registering the database. OK, I'm going to click OK. Then from there it's going to check for the most recent version, and it does say that one is available. Before we install the new version, I am going to go to Utilities and go to the Database Backup and Restore utility. So this is a brand new utility that we've released with one of our more recent feature packs. When I click on Database Backup and Restore, it takes me into this window, and it literally just looks different than the one that we saw before. So when looking at it, it's almost 3 times as big, but you also notice that it has database backup and it has restore database. So the backup and restore is now part of one utility. There's a few other features that are new to this version of the backup and restore utility. You can now back up literally to any location. So if you want to back up to a folder on your desktop, to a network drive, to a flash drive, to a CD, you can do that. Before, you always had to back up to the root of a drive, but now you can back up to a folder. It does allow you to select one of your last locations, or select the previous location, and allows you, third time's the charm, it allows you to select the last location or one of any of your previous locations. So I'm going to back up to a location that I'm going to click after I click Start Backup to show you how that process works, but you can pick any of these 3 options. Below that, there's going to be backup requirements, and it's going to tell you the database that you're backing up. It's also going to tell you the size of the backup. So it's going to say space needed 19 million bytes or 19 megabytes, 18.4 megabytes. And then it'll ask, or it'll let you know the space available if it can calculate that number. Then there's also the checkout flag down here at the bottom. If you check out finance, basically that is just a message stating that you're going to be taking the database home to work on it, and when you return and restore finance only, then that option is going to just replace the finance module data. So I'm going to say no, but for those that use finance at home, you do have the ability to check out finance, leaving a message that basically says, hey, finance has been checked out. When I return, any of that information that you have in the finance module will be lost because I'm going to be restoring a backup. So then at that point, what I'll do is I'll click Start Backup. Since I had selected a location that I'm going to choose, it's going to bring up my Explorer window, and then at that point we are going to be able to see the file name and see the file extension. With this new backup utility, they've changed, obviously they've made some changes, but they've changed how the backup file is created. So in the past, it created a proprietary file type We're still doing that, but it's actually a zip file where we've named the extension .cts so that it can easily be recognized. So in looking at this, it has this big long number here. That number ties back to your database ID. Every single database now has a database ID, and we verify and check to make sure the database you're restoring matches the database that you have on your system, so we can give you a warning message. It also includes the time, like it did, the date and time, like it did in the past. So it's 12/14/2017. That's today's date, December 14th, and then the time that we're creating the backup, 10:19 and 10:19 and 49 seconds. So we've been cruising along here. So then it'll say .cts, and if you rename the .cts extension to .zip, you can actually go in and see the compressed database file inside the folder. So at this point, I'm going to click Save, and it's going to go through saving the file, and it doesn't take too long to back up the file. The backup database process was successful. The system does check to make sure that the backup was successful. Then we click OK. Once the backup is complete, then we click OK, it'll close the window. Then we could go back into Utilities, and if we needed to restore a backup for some reason, it's in the same location. You'll notice down here at the bottom that there's a separate restore for version 8.4. So we're going to be updating. Once we use that new backup utility, we do have to restore with the new backup utility. If you had to restore an older backup, you'll use the restore an 8.4 or earlier backup, or restore finance from an 8.4 or earlier backup, and that'll just bring up the old restore utilities. So let me show the new restore utility before we install the new version of Shepherd Staff. So I'm going to go back to Database Backup and Restore, and this time I'm going to go to the Restore tab. And once we're on the Restore tab, it looks very similar. There'll be a Start Restore. There'll be options to select your database from different locations and to narrow down the number of databases that you're going to see. We believe that people will have lots of backups, and you can say, hey, let me choose, and then you can select the date that you have backups inside of your system, and you'll be able to choose that backup. You can say from a date, and you can also say over the past 270 days. If you're going to restore finance only, there is a restore finance only button down here that you'll use to restore finance only. And once you've selected your backup, you'll say Start Restore, and that will take the data in your backup and put it into the software. So I'm going to close this. We've registered our database. We've backed up our database. We are now ready to install Shepherd Staff. Now, when it comes to Shepherd Staff, give me just 1 second. There's a couple questions that came in through the question window, and I think they're relevant. So I'm going to go ahead and read those and answer those before I actually install the software. So from Ron, hello Ron. Our church does not have a network. We have individuals who are in charge of membership, attendance, contribution, finance, all have Shepherd Staff on their own computers. Are we going to have problems installing? You are not going to have problems installing. I'm going to explain how to handle that situation. And then there was another question that's timely and relevant as well from Ron. Do each of us need to do the database registration? And no, you won't each need to do the database registration. Once it's registered for everybody. I would have a question about whether or not each of you are on the exact same database. So if you have the information split into separate databases, then each one of those would need to be registered, but you can add more information about that. But whenever you register the database, it does register it for everyone. If you have separate databases, and those separate databases need to be registered. And let me go ahead and click on a new version of Shepherd Staff is available. At that point, it's going to warn us about closing the software. Please close the software before you install the new version. So we'll click yes. The reason being, those files are actually in use if the software is open. So you have to close the software to install the new version. Installing the new version does replace the old executables with the new executables. And we're going to be actually downloading those executables from the server. So it's going to say the next version of Shepherd Staff is available. Click continue to download and install this version on this computer. So we'll click continue. And you'll notice how it says, remember to repeat this process on each PC running Shepherd Staff. This relates back to the question from just a second ago where, hey, I have Shepherd Staff on different computers. Yes, you will need to download and install the software on each machine. Now, let me mention two scenarios here. One being, hey, if all the computers are connected together, and actually let me mention the second scenario first since this is progressing pretty quickly. At the bottom of this window, you see how it says C users public documents SS85-2018-full.exe. That's the location of where we're downloading this file to. So once you've downloaded that file, you can take that file to other machines and install it. So I'm going to go ahead and answer yes to the user account control, and it's going to bring up the install window. So if you have Shepherd Staff on multiple machines and they're not all networked, lots of times people will have a finance computer that's not connected to the network, it's not connected to the internet. You can literally copy that file from C public, from C users public documents folder to a flash drive, take it to the next computer and install off of that flash drive. If you have multiple computers that are on the same database and you update one, when it updates that first computer, it updates the software. When you open the software, it updates the database. Once the database is updated, it's actually updated for all machines that are networked together. So when you get to the next machine, you may receive a version error. Hey, database version is 8.5, you're on 8.4, and it'll give you a warning. If you're in the process of updating, go ahead and go past that error message, go to the updater and install the latest version. We don't advise actually using the software with the version error message, but if you're updating, that's the task that you're completing anyway, and you can log into the software bypassing that version message and download and install the most recent version. So there's a message that they've added here that we haven't had in the past. Please temporarily disable any antivirus products other than Windows Defender. The reason being, the antivirus product can block parts of the installation, parts of the files that are being copied onto your computer. So if that's the case, then your software won't work. So please use the temporary disable option, snooze it for 15 minutes. Then once it's snoozed, the installation should complete well within 15 minutes. Once that's done, then when you reboot your computer, 99 times out of 100, it'll go ahead and start your virus protection again. Most virus protections, when you reboot, they automatically restart. So unless there's something not right, when you reboot, it'll automatically re-enable your virus protection. And that's for people who are not using Windows Defender. Windows Defender, you don't have to disable it for that. That's the virus protection that Microsoft provides with every PC. So I'm going to click OK. I'm going to have to accept the license agreement. And then I'm going to, after I accept the license agreement, I'm going to start the install. And it's letting me know that, hey, we're going to update the installed version 8.4 of Shepherd Staff to version 8.5, and that's really what we want to do. Basically, it's wiping out the old executables and putting in the new executables. There may be some DLLs that it goes through and registers. Any new reports will be copied from the reports folder in the installer over to the machine. If you look closely, you can see the executables that it's copying onto your machine. Like it says, it's copying over the Finance 8 file right now. So it'll take a little while to copy and move those files over, but it won't take too long. There is a question from Marcia. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Hi, Marcia. Marcia is asking and stating, I'll read her question, if this change makes us nervous, will we be able to finish out 2017, send statements, convert to new envelopes, etc., and then do the 2018 install? Of course, you have the option to always wait to do the install. It really is, it doesn't matter if you decide to do it before or after. You know, lots of people wait until they finish the year end to go ahead and install, and that's perfectly fine, absolutely. So there you go. You're welcome. So this right here, it's finishing up the install right now. It's going to ask us to reboot, and I'm going to say no, I will restart later because I'm doing the presentation, but on your end, please restart your machine. We've definitely noticed over the years that if you don't restart after making an installation, that there's definitely times that the reports don't work correctly until you reboot the machine. So, and there may be other things that just haven't been reported. So when you get done, please reboot your machine. So I'm not going to reboot, but you definitely should. Then from there, I'm going to go ahead and open up Shepherd Staff, and you'll notice down at the bottom it now says version 8.5. So that's the version that we have within the system right now. Then from there, it says system admin password, and I'm going to check for program update. So click OK. I did receive another question from Glynis, I believe. Hello, Glynis, and she's saying, are you recommending then that we should install this after the first of the year? I'm not recommending that. We've been using Shepherd Staff in-house for usually it's about 6 months at this point in time. So if there are any slight software bugs, they've been resolved. When it comes to the year end really only exists in the finance module. Everything else is just about printing reports, and we've verified and tested all the reports. So if you want to update now, you can definitely update. Those that are concerned, you can hold off until the first of the year. We've been testing the software for months and months now, in-house and in the field. So everything should be good to go. So strictly up to the user. Okay, so we've checked for updates. There are no additional updates, so we're okay. Then from there, everything pretty much looks the same besides two things. You'll notice this help button here at the upper right, and you'll also notice down at the bottom that it says Shepherd Staff version 8.5, release 2017-10/30, and that's when we finalized version 8.5. So let me show one other feature underneath utilities and backup before we talk about the new help system. And now underneath backup, it does give you the ability to upload your backup to CTS. So over the years, we've had people ask about online backup. There's definitely other resources out there to back up. If you wanted us to store your backup, you can definitely do that. You can just check the box when you're doing a backup, and it will send the backup to our secure Microsoft Azure servers. And if you ever needed that backup, you can contact us. We do require that you send us a document on church letterhead stating that you have permission to receive the data. Once you send that in, then we will send you the backup. So when it comes to the online backups that we keep, we're going to keep a backup one per week, and it's the last backup we received during a week. Keep one per month. It's the last backup that we keep that we received that month. One per 90 days, and we'll only hold them for 90 days. Shaba asked a really good question. Hello, Shaba. Is there an additional charge for the online backup? There is not an additional charge. If you have a support contract, you can upload the database to us. If you cancel your support contract, then we'll delete the backups off of the server. So, you know, we won't hold your data hostage or anything like that. We'll purge it in our normal purging process. Good question. Okay, so you can upload your data now. So if you ended up in a really bad situation, you had a hurricane, a natural disaster, those type of things. I guess it could be unnatural. It could be not unnatural. It could be something that isn't nature. It could be somebody stole the computer. You know, that's possible as well. So if you have a situation like that and you've uploaded the database, we can provide the data to you at this point. So let me go ahead and close the backup utility and let's go to help. The help button has been added to provide different options for help all grouped together in one location. And it's going to give us different options. We've had a bunch of help options out there over the years, but centralizing them will allow customers to be able to go to one spot and select those different things. The very first one is our brand new web users guide. So over the years, we've always had the built-in help system, and it was more focused on providing information about the features, less focused on how-tos. So basically, we've converted the how-to information into here, so there's going to be detail about the feature, then a how-to to go through and execute whatever task it is that you're trying to do. So inside here, you'll select one of the modules. I'm going to go to membership, and once you're in membership, say I wanted to add a person, so I'll say add in a person, click on that, and then at the top there'll be a description kind of, you know, saying what the feature's about, and then below that there's going to be how-tos to walk you through the process, and most of the help articles are going to have an image, and they may have a video just depending on the article. So that's the new help system. There's information pertaining to each module. You can use search to search for something if you wanted to. So could be database conventions, rebuild and optimize database, you know, whatever you're looking for and would like to receive more information about. So I'm going to close the new help system. We also want to mention that with the training videos, we record those, every single one of these record. Once they're recorded, we're actually going to post them inside the software. So we have some of the older ones coming in the upcoming year. When we record new videos, we'll upload those and they'll be available to for people to watch. Basically, you can click on the video that you want to see, and then at that point it'll take a second for it to buffer, but it'll load and it'll show up on your screen. So welcome to the Shepherd Staff 2017 web. There we go. So I'll go ahead and close that window, and so now you can watch the videos here inside the system, and there'll be different videos on different features. If you wanted to learn something about contributions, you could go to Contributions 301 or whichever video you wanted to learn. If you wanted to see some of the videos that I made on the older features, you could do that as well. And I mentioned earlier that there was a video on web tools. I did talk about that. I'm going to press stop here, but I did talk about that in the new version, new in version 2017 video. So if you watched that video, you can find out about web tools. So okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close the video player here and go back to help. There's information about training seminars and training webinars. If you want to attend a live webinar, you can still purchase those. You can purchase training manuals. Jump over to the Shepherd Staff website. We still have the old user's guide. So inside of here, there's contents, and you can drill into those different content areas if you wanted to find out more information. The information between the new help system and the old help system is slightly different. There is a question from Laura. Hello, Laura. Is there a print button for the help topics? When you're inside your web browser, you can use the print options there. So you could use Control P if you would like. I mean, then you could print those pages. So it does allow printing from there. Okay, so let me go ahead and close the older help system there. Then at that point in time, you can go to help, and then there's also connect with us, about Shepherd staff, and the other church products and church resources that we offer. Okay, so that's the new help system. After the help system, let's take a look at the photo backup utility. So I'm going to go to utilities and go to photo backup. The photo backup utility allows you to back up your photos. So before, the photos were stored in a folder and they were not included in the regular database backup because the photos basically over time had gotten so large that they would literally break the database. So we kind of sectioned those off and said, hey, we're going to write a backup utility for those in the near future, and this is the time that we've completed that task. To back up, you're going to go through the same process, or basically the similar process to when you're backing up your database. You'll state how you want to back up, and I'm going to say a location I will choose after clicking Start Backup. And I'll say Start Backup, and it'll allow me to select a location. I'm basically backing up to my network drive, and then you'll also be able to see that the extension is .pts for backing up our photos. So I'm going to click on Save, and then it'll go ahead and back those up and save them. And we can see that it's 105 megabytes of data there. So when it comes to the photos are actually stored on the local machine, and you can actually see those photos inside the system. Anytime that you, let me click OK here, anytime that you insert a photo into Shepherd staff, it actually makes a copy of that photo and places it on the hard drive. So I'm going to open up Explorer here, and I'm going to go into this PC, C drive, Shepherd staff, that's my database folder. And then inside of here, there's SS photos and SS attachments. So all of the photos are stored in my SS photos folder. And you'll notice how, let me scroll up just a little bit more, some of the photos start with 1H. Those are going to be our household photos. And some of the photos start with 1P. Those are going to be our person photos. So let me go ahead and close that. And let me go to utilities and go to photo backup. A question did come in from Sandy, and Sandy says, am I right that when you back up, it backs up all modules? And yes, it does back up all modules. So when you back up the first backup, so we have two backups now, we have the database backup and we have the photos backup. When you run that database backup, it backs up all of the information inside membership, attendance, contributions, finance, and scheduler. It doesn't back up the photos and attachments, but you could say it backs up all the modules. Yes, it just doesn't back up the photos and attachments. Good question. Okay, so backup routine, start backup, close, help. We just backed up our photos, so that backup is inside our system. If we needed to restore our photos, say the hard drive went out, we could bring in our backups, and then we could restore the data, and then we could restore the photos. We would go through the process of selecting our backup, click on Start Restore, and it would restore. Now, there's 4 different types of photo restores, and they'll be listed down here at the lower right. So the first one, where it says all images that are in use. In use means that the photo is attached to the person or household. I guess you can also say inventory record, because you can have photos in 3 places. It could be in a household, it could be on a person record, but it also could be attached to an inventory item. So if that photo is in the folder and it's attached to one of those 3 records, then this option will restore it. You could say only attach, only restore missing images. You can say only restore missing images and ones that are different. And you can say restore all image, whether or not they're attached or they're different or they're missing. You can say, hey, I want to restore all of them. So there's 4 options there. In most cases, you're going to say all that are in use, because if you've disconnected them or you've gone into the folder and deleted that photo, you're not going to want that photo to come back. But you'll just select the appropriate option for your scenario. Then there's the 3rd tab, that is photo maintenance. And photo maintenance allows you to maintenance the connections with your photos between the database and the photos. So on the left-hand side, it'll say I want to, and you'll say view image, and then that'll allow you to click on the records, and you'll be able to view the image versus the backup file. And that's going to be what you see in most scenarios. I do have some orphaned images that I've created. So you may have a situation where you have an orphaned image. If you just want to pull one image out of a backup, you can click on that record and say select image and restore, and then you can restore that one image out of the backup. You can also say automatically fix broken image links, and those broken image links are our orphaned images. So now here on the left, like if we have it on view images and we say show these images, you can switch between person, household, click on this one here, inventory photos, and attachments, and we just have one inventory photo, but you can go through and you can maintenance those items as well. So just depending on what you're trying to do. So it does allow you to manage those photos in a way. Most time your management is going to take place inside of, click OK. Most of the time the images that you're going to manage are actually going to be inside your household and person records, but you can come in here and manage those photos as well. And when you're looking at the photos, there'll be photo, is it marked as having a photo? Yes. And does the photo exist? Yes, then you're good to go. And if it says photo no, and does the photo exist, that's an orphaned photo. You can literally attach David Alexander's photo back to him. So I can click on auto fix broken links, say yes, and then I'm going to click OK. There are 2 records with no image pointers and 1 record with a broken image pointer that are fixed, so I'll click OK. Then if I refresh that, basically I won't have any orphaned images at that point in time. So in most cases they're not going to be orphaned, and you're not going to have any problems. You'll just manage them inside your household and person records. So I'm going to close the backup routine, and let's transition into our next utility. And the next 3 utilities are actually going to be inside the membership module. So we'll go into membership. And once we're in membership, the first one to take a look at, I want to look at merge duplicate people. So let me turn off the reminder finger. The merge duplicate people utility is going to be used when you merge 2 people together. In most cases, you won't have duplicate records, but every once in a while you accidentally create a second record for a person when really you should have gone in and updated that person's record. In situations like that, you can use this combine utility to combine those 2 records together. It'll combine any attendance, and it will combine contributions in certain scenarios. So when you're combining 2 people, you just want to make sure that they really are the same person, and you want to make sure they don't both have offerings on their records. If they do, you want to go into the contributions module and combine their offerings first, and then come back into this module and combine their person records together. If just one of them has an envelope with offerings on it, then you can use this utility to combine those records together. So what I did for our demonstration is I added in a duplicate person for Howard Brown. So we have a Howard Brown and a Howard Raymond Brown. We're going to combine his records together. We're going to go to utilities, and we're going to go to combine information for 2 people. So I'm going to click there, and when the utility comes up, it's going to warn you, please back up before running any utilities in Shepherd Staff, but especially something that's going to be combining information. Reversing that is extremely difficult if you need to do it manually. It's a lot easier just to restore a backup and then run the utility again or fix whatever you need to fix. So let me go ahead and answer yes, we have backed up because we have. Then from there, I'm going to select Howard Brown. And you'll notice that there's two panels here, two boxes. The left side is select the person to combine. This is going to be the person that disappears from the system. And then select the person to keep. This is going to be the person that stays in the system. When I select the person here on the left, the right-hand side is going to be limited to just the people that are in this person's household. I could say list all people, then that'll give me everybody inside of the database. In most cases, those duplicate people are inside the same household, but if they're not, feel free to list all people and then just basically make the connection at that point. Then from there, we'll go to OK. Click conflicting information was found. Please select the boxes with the most current information. So we'll click OK. Then if there's information that both of them have that's different, we're going to call those conflicts. And then you're going to select the piece of information that you want to keep. So in one record, Howard Brown's a full member. The other one, he's a non-member unknown. And then in one record, he's active. In another record, he's a visitor. So he's joined the church and he's a full member. So I'm going to keep the information here on the right. And then I'm going to click Apply. It's going to give me a little sanity check there to make sure that what I'm doing makes sense, so I should feel more comfortable when I get done reading this. Combine Howard Brown with Howard Raymond Brown under the name of Howard Raymond Brown. And I'm going to say yes. Now, if you have two names that are identical, what you're probably going to want to do is add a letter to their first or last name. Usually when I'm dealing with customers, I'll add a Z to either their first or last name so that I can differentiate between the two people. And then when I read this message, I know which record I want to keep versus which record I want to get rid of. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes. Howard Brown was successfully combined with Howard Raymond Brown. Then I'm going to click OK. Then at this point, I'm going to refresh my tree over here on the left. And then now I'm down to one Howard Brown, and it's the Howard Raymond Brown, the person that I wanted to keep. Okay, after the merge duplicate people utility, let's take a look at subgroups. So when I usually open up subgroups, I'll click subgroups here at the top, and that'll bring me my subgroups window. You can also click on the little subgroups toolbar icon as well, and that'll bring up the exact same window. Okay, and the changes that we made in this most recent release were inside dynamic subgroups for the most part. We did make a couple changes to combine subgroups as well. If you'd like to see a full list of the changes that we made to Shepherd Staff 2018, not a full list, the important stuff that we changed, the stuff that customers are going to want to know about. On the left-hand side of your screen, there's going to be a control panel, and usually it has a little orange button at the top of it with a little arrow, and you can use that to collapse and expand the control panel. But inside of that list, there's going to be something called handouts, and I added in a handout with a list of the new features. So you can download and take a look at that list as well. So I'm not going to cover every single feature during this training, but I'm going to cover the big ones. So here inside of subgroups, I'm going to add a subgroup, and then we're going to add a dynamic subgroup. And in our last release, we made quite a few changes to subgroups. And the subgroup that I'm going to create to demonstrate some of the changes here is going to be a members subgroup that includes active and inactive people. So I'm going to call this one active and inactive members. So below that, there's going to be category. And when I click on category, you'll notice this little pencil and pad over here on the left-hand side. That pencil and pad allows me to modify and edit the drop list. So how categories benefit the customer is they allow you to group your subgroups together. So if I add in the category of membership, I can assign that category of membership to every single subgroup that's membership related. Then I can filter my subgroups window by that category. So I'm going to add membership, and then it's just going to put it here in the list. If I need to remove it, I can click on membership and click on remove and answer yes to the warning. And then I can add and remove. So this is going to be a concept that they're going to move forward with in the future for managing drop lists throughout the program. But right now it's just here in subgroups. So we have membership here, and I'm going to click done. Then I'm going to select membership, and then this category is going to be applied to this subgroup. Then I can add in a description if I'd like. Once I have the top portion filled out, I'll click add, and then that will take me into my selection process. And I'm going to go through and create a criteria line by starting and I'm going to start by selecting a category. The first part's going to be church, and I'm going to state that the person's a member. So I'll go category, field, operator, find. So I'll select the category, select my field, select the appropriate operator. With member, it's either yes or no, so it'll say equal to yes. Then continue. Then from there, I'm going to add in my second line of participation. So I'll say church, participation, equal to, and then here's the second change that we've made. It's the option to be able to just check which of the participations that you want. So click, click, and click. Okay, so we have active and inactive. So then at that point, this is how you'll do OR operators going before. Before you had to add a little plus in between them and then reselect the item from the drop list, one after the other. Inside of here, you can just select the ones you want, and then it'll be active or inactive people. Then I'll click continue. Then once that's done, I'll click save, and it will literally save my subgroup. So I'm going to go back to the subgroup one more time. You may notice, let me delete this line and re-add it. You may notice that now at the upper right of the save button, which is going to appear here just 1 second. There we go. Now, if changes have been made to a subgroup, there's going to be a little floppy disk there to let you know changes have been made. So in the past, we've had a little asterisk here at the upper left. The programmer is redesigning parts of the program, and this is one of the early changes that he's making. You can kind of see that the edges of the window are a little bit different, and that save and cancel are a little bit different, and that there's a little help button inside the window as well. So we're hoping that more of the windows will look like this in the future. So I'll click on save. That will save my subgroup. Then at that point, I can click on the subgroup, and either I can preview a report, or I can go to people here at the top, and I can see the individuals who are part of my subgroup. And these are going to be all of my active and inactive members inside of the system. So that's one of the big changes that we had in the software. Is now the OR operator should make it quite a bit easier to create your smart groups. So we did have a couple changes to static subgroups as well. So inside of static subgroups, if I go to add and say static, it's in that same new kind of designed window. It has the option for categories. There's now a search box for in the subgroup, and if you add in names, the little floppy disk will appear as well. So there's been kind of an overhaul over the last 2 versions of subgroups. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. Now let's go ahead and let's take a look at our next feature, the AST mass update. So I'm going to say no there. To access activity, skills, and training. You'll click the AST here at the top, and then that'll bring up the activity, skills, and training grid. So AST stands for activity, skills, and training, and it's going to be a way of tracking things that take place at your church, like activities or trainings, or it could be a skill set that somebody has or a spiritual gift that somebody has. So once you're in activity, skills, and training, most times people will go in, click the add button, and add in an activity. So you could say David Abbott, you could state that he's an acolyte or an usher or whatever thing that he's doing at the church. You can have a begin date and end date. If there's an office, you can apply an office, then you can click OK. That allows you to add in an activity. And if you just have one activity, that works out great. If you have lots of activities and lots of people, you're probably going to want to use the list manager or the mass update utility. The changes that we've made in the software have been to the mass update utility. So when you go into mass update, you'll have the option of adding people to a list or changing the people on a list. I'm going to suggest using changing the people on a list, and the reason being is this allows you to see the names on the list and make changes to them instead of simply blindly adding the names to the list. So I'm suggesting that people use change the people on the list. You can say Board of Education. Over here on the left, which type of list are you looking for? Activity, skills, trainings, and whether or not the activity is present, experience, or interest. So when it comes to present, present means that you're currently participating in that activity. Experience means that you've done it in the past and you have experience with it. And interest means you're interested in participating in that activity. So we're going to say present, and we're going to do Board of Elders and click Continue. Then at that point in time on the left, we see all the people that are not in the list, and then on the right, we see the people who are on the list. So at that point, I can filter by either current members, a subgroup, a list of people, which would be an activity, skills, or training list, or everyone. Then I can select the name, and then I can click Add, and it will move the name from the left to the right. And if I needed to take a name off the list, I could click on the person's name and then click Remove, and it would take that person off the list. So this allows you to manage both sides instead of just simply adding names to the list. Then at that point, I'll notice the floppy disk, so it's been, or it needs to be saved, and then I'll click on Save. And then would you like to change another list? I'm going to say no. And then we can see that our Board of Education names have changed just a little bit there. So, and that's how you can go through and update those names. So the final feature to show on our list is going to be the AR, the Accounts Receivable utility. That's actually in our Finance module. So I'm going to go out to the main Shepherd staff screen and go to Finance. The AR utility is a new utility. It is Accounts Receivable. And Accounts Receivable gives the church the ability to track money that's owed to a service that they're providing. So if your church has a daycare, if your church has a school, and you want to set up different services that people are going to pay for, you can track it with the AR system. The AR system allows you to enter in items, create AR accounts, then print out I call them invoices, but you print out reports that can be sent to somebody to let them know how much they owe, or even if they're caught up. So let me go ahead and minimize the accounts tree. I'm going to close the I want to close the church dashboard and close the to-do list. Then from there, I'm going to go to the AR icon for Accounts Receivable. That's going to bring up my Accounts Receivable window. And inside this window, it'll say Show, and that Show drop-down box is a way that you can navigate through the Accounts Receivable part of the software. It is completely encapsulated inside of this window. So with Accounts Receivable, everything you need to completed task is done inside of this window. You don't have to go to another part of finance. If you need to print a report, you'll print a report from this window. If you need to find out how much somebody owes, you'll do all of that here from this window. So when you're working with the AR system, you'll start by adding in items, charges, and fees. So to add an item, charge, or a fee, you'll go to show item, charges, and fees. You'll click add. When it comes to our system, we have ours set up like a school. So we say that there's student ID fee, student registration. The use rate table option is for tuition, and then there's a technology fee. So mine is going to be LB-001, and we're going to call ours lab fees. And then from there, price is normal. You can say a rate table. That allows you to set up that rate table. So hey, if you had one student, it's a certain rate. If you had two students, it's another rate. You can basically create your own rate table. If it was a daycare, you could say, hey, if somebody signed up for 1 day, 3 days, 5 days, you could have different rates for that. So after rate table, there's manual, where basically you would be entering in the price, and then if there's something that you receive that there's no cost, that would be no price. So I'm going to say normal, and let's say that the lab fees are $125. We could say they're taxable or non-taxable, and we can state whether or not this AR item is inactive. So lab fees and save. Once our lab fees are in the system, then we will create an AR account for the person who's going to be, or that person, the entity that is going to be purchasing the item. So it could be, I'm going to click add down here at the bottom, it could be a household, a person, a non-for-profit business, a for-profit business, a vendor, or it could be other. So we're going to say a household, since ours is set up as a school. We're going to say link to a person and link to a household inside the database, and we're going to use the Baxter family here. And then from there, it'll pull in all of my information from membership. We can then select our default terms, and we're going to say that they have the whole school year to pay off whatever that they're purchasing. So we'll say 9 monthly payments, and then we'll click save, and it'll actually create that AR account. So that's the account within the system. Once we have the item and the account in the system, then they will purchase something. So at that point, you could click on the household, and you could click on new while you're on the new transactions tab. You can also, if you go to transactions, you can copy one of the other transactions in the system, and that's literally the new feature that they've added. So if you wanted to copy technology fees, you can click on the HAL household, click on copy, and then at that point select the AR account. We're going to do the Baxter household. You can attach it to a student. So Sally's daughter is Allison. We'll click on Allison and click select, and then it'll go ahead and total everything together. If you just have a quantity of 1, it's going to be $25. And then since we have a payment plan, it's going to divide that $25 by 9 and leave you with $2.78 for each payment. So then from there, I can click on save, and it will save that transaction. When I go back to their AR account and click on the Baxters, I'll have just that one transaction. When it's time for them to pay it, and actually let me print an invoice first. So then I can go to print. I can go to account statements. That's probably what people will use the most. You can also create a list of transactions and payments as well. But we'll do account statements. Then from there you can say, hey, I want statements. It could be for all accounts or a single account. You can say anybody who has an unpaid balance, either an unpaid balance or a zero balance, activity within the last 3 months, and you could just say no payment since a certain date. So we're going to say an unpaid balance. We could then preview, and then this would be everybody in our system who has an unpaid balance. It'll show their transactions. It'll show how much they have on their account, their current balance, and basically letting them know if there's a minimum due, and then they can separate the bottom of this page and return that with their payment. And you can scroll through the different statements here, and then you can review those. Once they're reviewed, you just go to print down here at the bottom, and you can print out the reports and mail them out. So I'm going to close that. Once they receive their statement, then at that point they'll submit a payment. So we'll go to the Baxter household, click on the transaction that they want to pay on, click pay, and then at that point state how they're going to make the payment. So we'll say check, document number 1234. If they pay the full amount, it'll be $25. If it's not the full amount, say it was $12.50, then you can type in $12.50 and click over here, then it will just be a partial payment at that point in time. You could add in a comment, and then you can click save, and you'll notice here on the right hand side that the balance due is still $12.50. The total they paid is $25, and paid to date $25. Paid to date is $12.50. So that's how the AR system works in a nutshell. But you can find out more about that if you wanted to contact us, and it is part of our finance videos as well. Okay, so that is all the information I had for this training session. So let me switch back to my PowerPoint. And if you have questions right now, please feel free to go ahead and post those questions. We'll definitely answer them. I do want to thank everybody for attending today's webinar. We truly hope you enjoyed this training session. If you have any questions after the question and answer session, you can definitely reach out to us at 1-800-346-6120. And of course, you can shoot us an email at support@cts.cph.org. Okay, thank you so much, Shaba. A question just came in through the question window. Oh, actually, there was another question that I didn't answer. Okay, so let me read the question from Robin first. Oh, actually, both questions are for Robin. Awesome. So Robin asked earlier in the session, I was interrupted and I missed the part that you went to load the new version of Shepherd Staff. Can you show that again at the end? Unfortunately not. We are going to be uploading the video. The reason why I can't show it again, let me switch back to Shepherd Staff. Right here. Let me close this and close this. Okay, so basically, to install the new version, I clicked on the banner here at the top. You could go to Utilities and check for updates, and that would take you through the same process. Once I'm updated, I can't update again. So basically, you could check for updates, or if an update appears here at the top, you can click on the link, and that will allow you to download and install the update. And of course, you can also watch the video, which we'll be posting here in just a little bit later on today. So, oh, thanks so much, Robin. Okay. Okay, it looks like people are beginning to drop off pretty quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar. If you run into any questions, please feel free to contact us. We'd love to hear from you. I hope everybody has a wonderful lunch and rest of the day. And if I don't talk to you soon, I hope you have a Merry Christmas. Okay. For Jordan Bogart, this is Rod Kiles, and we are signing off.